Fanalysis combines the data made popular in fantasy football with the latest sports betting trends to find you the sharpest angles. And for that, we welcome back Tim Murray, the co-host of VSiN PrimeTime, weeknights 6 to 9 p.m. Eastern, and the VSiN College Football Betting Podcast. Final week of the season, Jets and the Giants. The Jets are 3-point dogs in Miami. They're going to turn to Joe Flacco at quarterback that we now know. They do have a chance to knock the Dolphins out of the playoffs. So, yeah, how do you weigh everything that's on the line in this game?
It's really a fascinating question when you look at it, because you think that, okay, the Jets are, or the Dolphins, I should say, are clearly the obvious bet to make. But I saw a really interesting quote that was out there from an odds maker here in Las Vegas. And this isn't solely, looking at the Dolphins and Jets game, but, this was from the VP, one of the VPs over at the Westgate Superbook here in Las Vegas. And he told this to the Las Vegas Review-Journal. And he said, quote, "If you bet on the teams that have to win, you're going to lose money because the lines are so inflated." And certainly you could put that into this situation that is brewing for Sunday with the Dolphins and the Jets. And, obviously with Joe Flacco starting, the look-ahead lines had to be adjusted. But we'll talk about look-ahead lines. I always kind of, Steve, like to look at what those lines are. So not every book does this, but some do, where they put up a line about 3 days before the week prior. Then they take it down because injuries could unfold, and they repost it. So the line on December 27th for the Jets and Dolphins game was the Jets -1 against the Dolphins. And now you're looking at the Dolphins as a 3-point favorite. Now, obviously, we have a quarterback change with Joe Flacco going in, but, the public believes that the Jets are just going to lay down. Different sports books have reported their numbers early on, and I'll give you a couple of those. BetMGM, 68% of the tickets on the Dolphins. DraftKings, 64% of the tickets on the Dolphins. So once again, just be careful when you assume that, okay, this team has to win and this team doesn't care, and that's the way this bet is going to go, because you could actually see some value. Now, I'm not saying it's necessarily the case here, and personally, I don't have a bet on this game. But, Steve, I always just caution when something seems too easy, it generally is. So just be a bit cautious in this particular instance that the line has been maybe a bit overinflated, because obviously the situation at hand is that the Dolphins win, Patriots lose, the Dolphins get into the postseason.
I mean, look, there's a reason why the sharps fade line movement, because there's an opportunity there for them. And and there's even more of an opportunity, not just on, that particular line, but on the over-under as well. The Jets haven't scored a touchdown in 2 games. In their last 3 games, they're averaging 281 yards of total offense. The over-under, 37.5. Is that low enough? Because, the Dolphins aren't exactly tearing it up either.
Yeah, it's certainly been a line on the move to the south there, and it is, as of as we sit here and chat, it is the lowest total on the board. So there's an old saying that the lowest total you always go under, the highest total you always go over. And I'll be honest, with Skylar Thompson going up against Joe Flacco in this spot, and we haven't seen all that much inspiration, I would say, from the Dolphins offense. It would be hard for me to certainly play an over in this particular spot.
I might have to sprinkle in something on a defensive touchdown for the Jets at plus 2,000. I mean, that might be the only way that they can score. The Giants are in a divisional matchup here with Philly. That line is at 14 points. Reports say the Giants are going to be resting most of their starters, while Jalen Hurts is on track, and I say that in quotation marks, to play in this game. Are you looking to play this game in any way? Or is the smart move to stay away?
I think, transparency is the best thing when it comes to gambling. I, back in the summer, placed a bet on the Eagles to win the division at plus 275. So I'm sitting on that and I was feeling great. And now I've got a situation where I have to sweat it out here in week 18. But the ironic part about this game and this line, Steve, is going back to the look-ahead line. right? I mentioned it with the Jets and the Dolphins. This look-ahead line on December 27th at the Westgate Superbook here in Las Vegas was Philadelphia -1.5. Why was it -1.5? Because odds makers believed the current scenario that we're witnessing was going to be flipped, that the Giants would be the desperate team needing to win to get to the postseason, and the Eagles would have everything locked up. But of course, that's not the way that this is played out. The Giants are locked into the 6th seed, win, lose, draw, does not matter. And the Philadelphia Eagles, they've got everything on the line. A win, they get the number 1 seed, they get the NFC East, they get bye, home field advantage, all of that. And we thought that was probably going to be locked up last week when they played the New Orleans Saints and were around a touchdown favorite. They lose that game. Gardner Minshew plays as poorly as he does. So that's why you're seeing this line sitting at 14. Here's the fascinating parts, though, Steve, about this particular game. And kind of, you and I were briefly chatting about this off air, is that a lot of people believe, because of what we've seen from the Eagles these past couple of weeks, that they're not going to play very well. And the reports out there that the most heavily bet team this week, believe it or not, based on tickets, is the New York Giants.
On tickets?
90% of bets at BetMGM reported on Friday on the Giants. 86% of the bets at DraftKings Sportsbook on Friday on the Giants. So interesting, but we haven't seen that line really budge off of 14, which I think is sometimes an indicator.
And I think maybe one of the reasons is that, and I know that line has moved because the Giants aren't going to be playing a lot of their big-name starters, but these players who are stepping in the starting role for this game, this is their opportunity to shine. This is their opportunity to put something on tape for the rest of the NFL. This is going to be their Super Bowl. 14 points is a big number, and I just don't think that the separation between a majority of the Giants starters and their second-tier players, it's not like a separation between varsity and junior varsity. So I can totally see why that number is really high on the ticket side, especially since New York is a big betting market. And by the way, real quick, it was 2 weeks ago or a couple of weeks ago when the Eagles were 13-1. Did you consider a cash out? Was that even a consideration?
No, because I thought we were good. Why am I gonna take a cash out? So I guess if I really wanted to, I could hedge out. But no. I'm gonna believe in getting greed to somehow, some way get this win this weekend, Steve.
Keep it going. That's how he sees the Jets and the Giants games. Make sure you check out our other segment this week on the best prop bets and the national championship. For Tim Murray of VSiN, I'm Steve Overmyer. This is Fanalysis.